Marriage in the United States of America and Saudi Arabia is very different. And with the limited knowledge I have of marriage in Saudi Arabia, I know that it's, in most senses, a complete reversal of what we have here in America, where obviously you're not allowed to be polygamous here in America and have multiple wives. But in Saudi Arabia, the man, he's allowed to have up to 4 wives, I believe. But the woman is a lot more restricted in Saudi Arabia, to where she needs a male guardian to obtain the permission for that marriage. And with her having restrictions on it going forward, whether it comes to divorce later. I know the man has pretty much a no consequence divorce over in Saudi Arabia, where the woman does not have that same freedom. So the man can have up to 4, I think it is, and then the woman, not only does she need the permission of her male guardian, but then she can only have 1. So the men's rights, women's rights things are, there's a lot of areas where it's kind of a flip from the United States of America to Saudi Arabia. A couple similarities in certain areas, but I just want to talk more so on like the male-female aspect of that, not getting too deep into the politics or the religion of whatever group of people. But just on a male-female perspective, how do we come together in the world and find a solution that works for everybody to the best of our ability? Obviously, like, someone's always going to have an issue with whatever, but when we look at marriage in both the United States of America and Saudi Arabia, you know, men here in America that complain about marriage and the laws, some people think it's a joke when they talk about men's rights or men's rights activists, because they don't really understand how the laws are stacked against men. It's a very reasonable concern to have when it comes to the man just kind of being on the wheel, and the courts usually siding with the woman here in America, and custody, child support, alimony is generally going to go to the woman, especially the man is generally going to make more money. So you get the woman here in America with the no consequence divorce. You get a lot of men that get very screwed over, and then they maybe they lose their job, can't afford the alimony, the child support, then they get thrown in prison. And there's paternity fraud. There's just a bunch of stuff in America that men's rights activists have a very good case to bring up, and it's needed stuff to talk about. Now, over in Saudi Arabia, where you can have the man with 4 wives, and from an early age, a girl always has to have a male guardian, whether it's like the father or the brother or just some sort of male figure, and then she needs that male guardian to give her the permission to date and or marry that man, and then that man can also have up to 4 wives himself. It's a very different structure over in Saudi Arabia than it is here in the United States of America. And I don't advocate for abuse on anybody, man or woman, young or old, whatever race. I don't advocate for any sort of abuse going on. So how do we find a way that is kind of like a good balance when it comes to marriage? Because it's interesting, because in any country, human beings can do good to other human beings, and human beings can harm other human beings. So I don't mean for this video to be pro-United States or anti-Saudi Arabia, or anti-United States or pro-Saudi Arabia. I'm just talking about it on like a male-female perspective. Because when we are looking at it biologically and spiritually, the man is generally going to be the hunter, the provider. There is a reason that in any society, the men tend to dominate the workforce, tend to lead, tend to make the most money, tend to run the governments. There's a difference between testosterone and estrogen, and that has nothing to do with your country or your religion or where you're from. This is a male-female thing, a penis and vagina thing. You know, flat chest versus boobs. Like, this is not race, this is not country, this is not culture, this is just male and female. So knowing that the man is generally going to be in that provider role, and the woman's going to want him in that provider role. Like, the man's going to be the hunter, the leader, and the woman is going to take the back seat and be the nurturer and support the man. Just on a biological sense, that is generally how it's going to go. So how do we form marriage in a way where both sides kind of have a fair shake? Because you can look at both the United States and Saudi Arabia, and you can see good aspects of both, right? Without getting into, someone always brings up, oh well, like this person got abused in this way. It's like, of course, like human beings in general, United States, Saudi Arabia, black, white, Mexican, Asian, Indian, man, woman, anyone can affect another human being. So this is not about, like, if I say there's good aspects of marriage in the United States and also good aspects of marriage in Saudi Arabia, it's not to say, well, look at this one person that got screwed over in this way, this abuse that went on. I'm not talking about the negatives. I'm not talking about the abuse. I'm talking about the structure. And if we're being honest, biologically and spiritually, a man that goes out there in the world and gets it done, makes money, provides, has homes, just like he's grown up and matured, understands the world, he's conscious, he's cerebral about things, in physical shape. That man who has that money and has that ability to provide, more women would rather share that man than to struggle through life with a guy that can't provide, right? Like, 4 women would rather be with an alpha male than to singularly struggle with a beta male. That is just biology. So the structure of a guy being polygamous and having multiple wives that he takes care of, it does make sense in nature. If you are that guy who works his butt off to start a business, say you started at a young age, it takes you years to do, maybe you're working other jobs, you save the money, and you go through the trials and tribulations of just not only your life, but then starting the business and the naysayers, people telling you that you can't do it, and you finally get to this point, maybe 10 to 15 years of work, that business is taking off. And so you have all this money and resources to provide. Not only that you've worked in life and you have a grit about you, and you've built character, you've built a work ethic. So these events of your life have led you to a point where you're kind of this alpha male figure. Plenty of women would rather share you as that business owner who went out to the world and got it done. Plenty of women would rather share you than to go through life with a guy that's just on his mom's couch, playing video games, minimum wage job, always critical, always negative. Like, there's plenty of women would rather share the alpha than to just struggle with the beta. And that's a biological and spiritual reality. So especially too when we're talking about men and women, and women always say, well, how come the man can sleep around but the woman can't? Well, she can, right? She has the choice to, and he has the choice to. But when we're talking about biological and spiritual realities, I even did a video on this about the promiscuity between men and women. And one man, he can have sex with multiple women in the course of 1 week. Like, he could get 100 women pregnant in 1 week if he wanted to. A woman could have sex with 100 different men in 1 week, and she's only getting pregnant that one time for that 9-month period, and then has the kid, loses the baby fat, and then ready for another kid. But I'm saying in one time, a woman is only going to bear one child. The emotional connection between a mother and her child is different than a father and his child. The biological connection is different between a mother and her child and a father and his child. The spiritual connection is different between a mother and her child and a father and his child. So it is different for a man to sleep around and a woman to sleep around. The man and woman are affected differently by that. And there's like a difference between the guy that can spread his seed over multiple women and a woman that can only take one seed at a time. So there is a difference between the promiscuity of that. Now, it's not to say that women don't have the right to do that. I mean, they do. But again, too, now let's flip it back to the United States, where we have this kind of feminist narrative where me in my 20s at 26, girls in their 20s in the United States nowadays in 2020, go to college, get your degree, work your own job, look at different options of men. We got OnlyFans, Tinder, Bumble, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Pinterest, Twitter. She can go online and get like thousands of likes on a picture, and then so she has this perception that she has all these options, and she can do whatever she wants, tattoos, piercings, whatever. And then so if any average 26-year-old guy were to go up to her, maybe she's 26, and start a conversation, she at age 26 she has so many different options of men. Not only men in their 20s, but older men too, that have more going on than you do as a man who's 26. So you're just like, you're overlooked. But when it comes to this marriage thing, I could be working at 26, and by the time I hit 30, now my stuff is taking off, and I'm more mature, and I have more money, I can provide more. Well, this girl at 30 in the United States, now she's looking for marriage. Oh, I've had my fun. I'm looking for something serious now. I'm looking to settle down now. And it's just like, that's not how that works. You know, that's like, you're going to see later in the future, in a few years from now. I mean, it's already happening with the marriage rates dropping in the United States, especially for men. Like, a lot of men are waking up and they just like, you know, like getting the government involved in what we're doing, with the laws the way they are, and also your ability as a woman to just be feminist and just leave and just like no consequence. Like, I'm not suggesting that I own you like legally, like where you can't do anything without my permission, otherwise there's going to be consequences for you as a woman, right? Like, I'm not suggesting that I have some like legal ownership over you as a woman, but with the way marriage is, you have a certain legal ownership over me as a man. So if I'm making all this money, or you don't see my vision now at 26, but then now at 30 I'm doing better, now you want a marriage where you could come in, and if you just choose that, oh, you're bored with me and go to someone else, you can take half my stuff, or more than half, or like stuff you weren't even there to work for. Like, I could be building a YouTube channel at 26. She just goes, oh, that's low subscribers, that's not anything. And if I build it at a point where I'm 30 and more people see the vision of the things I'm saying, and it's like a source of income for me, she can just come in, and if we get married, and then she's like, oh, well, this other guy looks cute today, so I'm divorcing you and going with him. She can just take my YouTube money, or she can just take my, like, she wasn't there to build it, or, you know, it's just kind of like, no, like that, you know, men's rights activists are very much equal to women's rights activists. There's a necessity for both. Like, both men and women can affect the other. So it's like, how do we balance all of this, whether it's the United States or Saudi Arabia or just anywhere? You know, I'm not too familiar with the marriage laws in every single country in the world that's not the United States. I live in the United States, so I experience United States living. I was born in San Diego, California, in the United States, so that's what I know the most. So, but the limited knowledge I do have of places like Saudi Arabia, you look at certain aspects of that and it's completely reversed. Whereas the guy can have multiple wives and she can't have multiple husbands, right? And in Saudi Arabia, he's the one that has the no consequence divorce, and she's the one that has divorce restrictions. So here in the United States of America, it's a little bit different. But like I said, I'm not advocating one gender to just like completely own the other gender, especially like legally. But there's differences between testosterone and estrogen. There's differences between a penis and a vagina. So like, there's certain things that you just have to understand about the other gender. Especially as a woman, when we look at her being feminine, a woman can be feminine and beautiful just by existing and just by her being herself and her personality and just the way she is. The man is going to be judged on like, oh, like, what do you do for work? How much money do you make? Are you physically attractive? Can you provide? Are you a hunter? Are you a leader? Are you respected by other men? Right? So it's like, it's a different way that we're evaluating each other. So in the way that things are set up in the United States, where there's an economy and like working your way up, possibly, you know, high school, college, and so on, a guy in his 20s is not going to be as attractive as a guy in his 30s and 40s and so on overall. You know, and some people say, well, look, a guy 30s and up, like, he's not in his physical prime, like, he was in way better shape at 25. And again, it's like, yes, like, if we look at like a pro athlete's going to be a better player at 25 than he will be at 35. I mean, he can get smarter, right? I mean, there are athletes that actually are better at 35 than 25, but that's rare because physically they're going to deteriorate. They can get smarter at the game, more nuanced, but there is a decline. But when I'm talking about attraction between men and women, it's not just like how young and youthful your body is. It's these other things that come into play. So for the most part, yes, you could say the 25-year-old guy has the higher chance of being in better shape than the 35-year-old guy. But the 35-year-old guy can still be in shape. He still could have taken care of himself. So even if he's fallen off a little bit physically from whatever he was at 25 or whatever sport he played, there's something to be said about he's 10 years older. He's 10 years wiser. He's 10 years richer. He's 10 years more aware of a woman's mind and what women actually like. And so, in general, women are gonna like older guys because the things that they judge us on are different than the things we judge them on. So when it comes to the marriage between the United States of America and Saudi Arabia, yes, neither is a perfect system, and both genders can get screwed over in either country, depending on what perspective you're looking at it from. But I'm talking about it from a male-female perspective of testosterone and estrogen. There's a reason that a man can spread his seed to multiple women in the course of a short time, and a woman can only get pregnant once, even with a bunch of different seed. It's a biological difference, it's a spiritual difference, and there's nothing wrong with an open conversation about what it means to be a man and what it means to be a woman, no matter what country.